For decades, millions of Americans believed an invisible empire ruled from the shadows. It wasn't a government, an army, or a corporation. It was an organization built on fear, loyalty, and silence. Behind the doors of ordinary restaurants, barbershops, and social clubs, powerful mafia bosses decided who would become rich, who would lose everything, and sometimes, who would live or die. Witnesses vanished without explanation. Businesses quietly paid protection money. Even politicians and union leaders feared crossing these unseen rulers. To many, the American Mafia seemed unstoppable. But what they never imagined was that a patient, determined investigation would slowly expose every secret. This is the story of how the FBI brought one of the world's most feared criminal empires to its knees. Long before federal agents launched their greatest investigations, organized crime had already taken deep root in American cities. During the early 20th century, waves of immigrants arrived seeking better lives. Most built honest futures through hard work, but a small number of criminal groups discovered opportunities in illegal gambling, extortion, and smuggling. When Prohibition began in 1920, banning the production and sale of alcohol, these groups found an incredibly profitable business. Secret breweries, hidden warehouses, and underground bars appeared across the country. Illegal liquor flowed through carefully protected routes, making gang leaders wealthier than ever before. As profits grew, criminal organizations became more sophisticated. Small neighborhood gangs transformed into disciplined crime families with strict rules and powerful leadership. Loyalty became absolute. Members swore lifelong oaths of secrecy, believing that betrayal deserved only one punishment. The Mafia called this code omerta, a tradition of silence that frightened both victims and witnesses. Fear became one of the organization's most effective weapons. By the middle of the 20th century, mafia families controlled far more than illegal alcohol. They influenced labor unions, construction projects, trucking companies, waterfront operations, casinos, and loan sharking businesses. Legitimate companies often found themselves forced to cooperate, while local officials sometimes accepted bribes to look the other way. The Mafia's power extended far beyond the streets, reaching into the economic and political life of major American cities. For years, law enforcement struggled to understand the true structure of organized crime. Many investigators believed the crimes were isolated incidents committed by independent gangs. Without reliable witnesses willing to testify, proving the existence of a nationwide criminal network remained extremely difficult. Every investigation seemed to hit the same invisible wall of silence. Everything slowly began to change as a new generation of federal investigators looked beyond individual crimes. Instead of chasing one robbery or one murder at a time, they started connecting patterns. Surveillance teams watched social clubs for months. Financial investigators followed suspicious money trails. Telephone records revealed unexpected relationships. Piece by piece, investigators began assembling a much larger picture. The FBI realized that defeating the Mafia would require extraordinary patience. Criminal leaders rarely committed violent acts themselves. Orders passed quietly through trusted associates, making responsibility difficult to prove in court. Agents had to gather overwhelming evidence while protecting confidential informants whose lives would be in constant danger if their identities became known. Technology also changed the battle. Hidden microphones, court-approved electronic surveillance, detailed financial records, and long-term undercover operations allowed investigators to observe conversations that would once have remained forever secret. Every recorded meeting, coded discussion, and suspicious financial transaction added another piece to an enormous investigative puzzle. Perhaps the greatest breakthrough came not from technology alone, but from human fear and changing loyalties. Some former mafia members realized that absolute loyalty offered no guarantee of safety. Others feared lengthy prison sentences more than they feared retaliation. A small number chose to cooperate with federal authorities, revealing internal rules, leadership structures, and criminal operations that had remained hidden for generations. Their testimony transformed investigations that once relied only on circumstantial evidence into cases supported by insiders who had lived within the organization itself. The battle, however, was far from over. The mafia still possessed enormous wealth, experienced lawyers, loyal followers, and decades of influence. Every arrest created new challenges. Every witness required protection. Every courtroom became another battlefield where prosecutors had to prove not only individual crimes, but the existence of entire criminal enterprises. The confrontation between the FBI and the American Mafia would ultimately reshape the nation's approach to organized crime forever. As investigators uncovered more connections, one fact became impossible to ignore. The Mafia was not a loose collection of neighborhood gangs. It operated through carefully organized crime families that followed a strict hierarchy, enforced discipline, and coordinated their activities across multiple cities. Every decision flowed through trusted chains of command, making the organization remarkably resilient, even when individual members were arrested. The FBI realized that dismantling such a network would require far more than solving individual crimes. They would have to expose the entire structure from the inside out. To achieve that goal, surveillance expanded on a scale never attempted before. Federal agents spent countless hours observing social clubs, restaurants, union offices, and businesses suspected of serving as meeting places. They documented arrivals, departures, unusual patterns of communication, and relationships between individuals who appeared unrelated to ordinary citizens. What looked like routine daily activities slowly revealed a hidden system of leadership, influence, and coordination that stretched far beyond a single neighborhood. At the same time, financial investigators began tracing money instead of violence. They discovered that profits from illegal gambling, loan sharking, extortion, and other criminal enterprises often moved through legitimate businesses before disappearing into a complex web of transactions. Following these financial trails demanded extraordinary patience, but every bank record, property purchase, business contract, and unexplained payment helped investigators understand how criminal organizations protected both their wealth and their leaders. Technology continued to strengthen the investigation. Court-authorized surveillance, concealed recording devices, detailed communication analysis, and carefully planned undercover operations allowed federal agents to collect evidence that had once seemed impossible to obtain. Conversations that had remained hidden for decades gradually became valuable pieces of evidence. Each recorded meeting, coded discussion, and verified financial connection strengthened the growing case against organized crime, while reducing the mafia's ability to rely solely on secrecy. Perhaps the greatest advantage, however, came from people inside the organization itself. Some former members, facing long prison sentences or losing faith in the promises of absolute loyalty, chose to cooperate with investigators. Their first-hand knowledge confirmed leadership structures, explained internal rules, identified trusted associates, and revealed how orders moved through the organization without leaving obvious evidence. Information that had once existed only as suspicion could finally be supported by direct testimony from insiders. As the evidence continued to grow, federal prosecutors prepared increasingly ambitious cases. Rather than charging isolated offenses, investigators and prosecutors worked together to demonstrate how entire criminal enterprises operated over many years. Mountains of surveillance records, financial documents, witness testimony, and carefully preserved evidence were organized into comprehensive investigations designed to withstand intense legal challenges. For the first time, the possibility of holding powerful crime leaders accountable no longer seemed impossible. Yet the mafia remained a dangerous and determined opponent. Experienced defense lawyers challenged every accusation. Loyal followers protected senior leaders, and attempts to intimidate witnesses continued whenever opportunities appeared. Every successful investigation demanded extraordinary coordination between investigators, prosecutors, and protected witnesses. One mistake could destroy years of work and place countless lives at risk. Despite those dangers, momentum had clearly begun to shift. The organization that had once seemed untouchable was now being forced onto the defensive. Hidden operations were being exposed, financial networks were being uncovered, and trusted circles of secrecy were beginning to fracture under relentless federal pressure. The invisible empire that had ruled through fear for generations was slowly losing the protection that silence had once provided. The final confrontation was approaching. Federal investigators now possessed stronger evidence than ever before. Prosecutors were preparing their most significant cases, and former insiders continued revealing secrets that had remained hidden for decades. The stage was set for a legal battle that would permanently change the fight against organized crime in the United States and determine whether the American Mafia could survive the most determined investigation in